Hello again to all of you out there. I'm Villain, and this is Vivi. Today I wanted to share my method for playing my backlog. I've iterated on trying different ways for years, going alphabetically, by release date, randomly, lots of different ways. But I always kept changing the system. A mixture of doing all of those at once usually seemed to work better for me. I finally have a system that works really well for me that I've been sticking to with, and I wanted to share it. I did also want to mention a lot of these types of videos usually have some lifestyle tips too, like dedicating specific time to gaming, reducing distractions, keeping your phone away, stuff like that. I do think details like that are also helpful, but they're not really something I have a unique take on, and I know it's the kind of thing that's really going to vary for everyone. But my method is about reducing choice, which I've seen suggested a lot as well, but it usually still boils down to picking a few games or one game at a time to focus on rather than how to make the choices about which games to focus on, apart from maybe like balancing genres, not playing the same type of game back to back, that type of thing. So while I have done something kind of like this years ago, the thing that made it really click a bit more is when Retrobird talked about in one of his videos. It was the idea of treating your library just like that, just as a library, your backlog collection, whatever, as a library, and then treat it like a rental store on top of that. So you only pick out a few games to like rent and focus on at a time. So that way you don't get overwhelmed by the choice of the whole thing. Since I'm also interested in being a collector, I've accepted I'll probably never get to a zero game backlog. I'm perfectly content with that. I'm happy with that. I've accepted it. I've made peace. I do want to play all my games. I look forward to playing all my games, but I'm not allowing myself to feel guilty about the ones I haven't gotten to yet. I'm not letting that pressure creep in, which kind of goes hand in hand with the analysis paralysis, the choice paralysis, which is what I've been trying to figure out how to fix. So now I just look forward to them and focus on little chunks at a time. So I came up with a method to pick a few games at a time, and it looks like this. Okay, so these are the ways that I choose which game that I want to play next. And I've made it into this image. Obviously, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just use Backloggery, and this is the image that I put at the top of my Backloggery profile. So the way that it works for me is when I want to play a set of games, I choose new games to play based on each of these slots, basically. And then one by one, I go through them. I generally only focus on one at a time, except for the ongoing and grind slots. Those are kind of special. But I don't juggle all of them at once. And I find that I get really, excited when I get through them because it's so like when I play through the last game, the one that's in the rating slot, I get really excited because I get to choose new games. It kind of reminds me of that childlike feeling of getting, a handful of new games or a new game that you're like, oh, this is the new game. I can't wait to play it. I'm only choosing new games from games I already have. So like I already have these games, but I still really look forward to the process of finishing this and seeing what is coming up next. And I feel like that's a big part of why this works so well for me. And here's an explanation of kind of what each one means and how it sort of balances out different ways to pick games. So I'm not always playing the newest game or the oldest game or a long game or, picking purely at random, things like that. I feel like the variety really helps, but here's an explanation for them. This is a round that I've already gotten through, so I've already gone through these games. But new is a newly acquired game. It does not have to be a brand new release. It could be. It could just be an old game that I purchased recently, but it's something that I acquired recently. So, for example, when I made this, one of the newest games I had was Scarlet Salvation, which is the one that you see there. It was the Xbox version. Then next up is random. I just choose something at random, either from how I have my games entered on backloggery.com. I use the random feature there. I also have all my games listed in a spreadsheet, and you can randomize the whole range, or you can develop formulas that will just put a random selection from the list of games into a cell or something. However you want to go about picking something at random works. It's just a randomly picked game. I I do also like putting a slot up for a retro game. So the way I pick this is I usually just hit random until something old pops up. So I'll just random, random, random. Oh, that's new. That's an old game. And I mean, retro is a little bit subjective. So here, for example, I have Ride-In Fighters Aces. It's a collection on Xbox 360, which some people consider retro now, but it's also a collection of retro games. Oh, and I forgot to mention random. That was Dynasty Warriors God Seekers that was picked there. A way that I used to do it when I used to have my games entered on how long to beat is they try to have release date information. So this, in the past, this used to be kind of like oldest game by release date for me. But I don't really use that to catalog my games anymore, so I just switched to random until old game shows up, and that works pretty well. The next slot is long. It's just a game that takes a long time to beat. The way that I come up with this is in my spreadsheet. Whenever I add a new game, I quickly look it up on how long to beat and just see about how long it would take to beat. So I sort the spreadsheet by longest for that field, and I just pick whatever was the highest. For this one, it was Harvest Moon. I forget which one this was exactly. It was a PlayStation 1 one. You can see the logo there on the left side. I kind of cut it off. I don't put too much effort into this graphic, but I do find that I really like having the graphic. It kind of builds excitement in a way. And it's also something I can quickly reference to see what's next, but not mandatory by any means, of course. Um, and while I'm talking about this one, that's another thing I kind of want to bring up is these are not absolute rules. So I use it because I like having suggestions and systems to reduce the choice paralysis, the analysis paralysis. But I'm not going to force myself to play something that I don't enjoy, and I would never recommend that anyone do that. If you really want to play a specific thing, um, don't do that. I mean, well, do that as in play the game, but don't force yourself to play something else just because you're adhering to some rule or something. I generally find that for the most part, I want to at least try, or I'm happy to play most of the games I own. So choosing games systematically like this works pretty well. However, Harvest Moon, and why I'm talking about this now, is a game that I wasn't really sure if I would enjoy. It's not really my genre, farming games, simulation type games. And it turns out I really didn't enjoy it. So I dropped that game after just trying it for maybe an hour or something, and I moved on. So they're not absolute rules that must be followed at all times. The next two are pretty special. They're kind of unique, ongoing and grind. These are for games that don't really have an end. They're things that I just want to play because they're fun, not because I want to beat them. Usually that's like a rhythm game. Like right here, I've pictured on top, that's DJ Max Respect. And on the bottom here is Muse Dash. Those are games that I just enjoy playing, and I always want to play them. So I have them here just to kind of remind me that they're around. I wouldn't necessarily need to include them in this if I didn't want to. The grind game here is kind of similar. That's ZZZ, Zenless Sun Zero. It's a little. This one I intend to be one that has a bit more of like a goal in mind, like I'm grinding for something in particular. ZZZ has story updates periodically, so it's like go through the new story or keep up with the weeklies, that kind of thing. Um, but it could also be a game that isn't a live service game. It could be something that I just want to go back to for fun because I didn't get max level yet and I just feel like playing for a little bit. Or it could be an achievement that I want to finish grinding, something like that. And I don't, it's a little confusing to put them here because, like I said, I tend to progress in order. Like I do the new game, the random game, the retro game, the long game. But then I don't, I don't go from long to ongoing to grind. Ongoing and grind are kind of special in that anytime, I just don't feel like playing the game. Like if I didn't feel like playing Dynasty Warriors the day that that was the game I was focusing on, I was just like, I don't really feel like getting into that. I've only got a little bit of time or I'm tired. I'll just boot up a rhythm game quickly and play that or Zenless Zone Zero. They're kind of like easy jump in, play, fun games to kind of cool off on. And the last one is rating. So every time I add a game to my personal spreadsheet, I also give it a rating from 1 to 5, including half stars, about just kind of a gut feeling about how excited I am to play it. Um, and Metaphor, I was really excited to play. I'm not really the type of person that when I get a new game that I'm excited to play, that I want to drop it and play it. I kind of prefer sticking to order a little bit. If you're the type of person that loves, really looking forward to a game, getting really excited about it, and then when you get it brand new, playing it immediately, by all means do that, of course. But that has never really jived with me. I kind of like going to my own flow, my own pace, and getting to it when I want to. That said, I do still have excitements and how interested in a game I think I am. Um, so I make a spot for it here. And then when I finish that one, then I get to pick all new games, and that's kind of the fun, exciting part, like I was saying. So this round I've already finished. I already played through all these, so I'll show you the one that I'm currently on. I'm partway through it. Okay, and here's an example of how it may change once I finish it. So this is the one that I'm currently working through. I'm partway through it. I finished Screamer, got all the achievements in that one. I also finished, this is Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1 Plus that came out on PS4. I also got the Platinum Trophy in that. Now I'm currently moving on to, this is A Witch's Tale on DS. Then once I finish that, I plan to play Gran Turismo 4 on the PlayStation 2. Then after that, this is Cotton Fantastic Night Dreams on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. And the graphic for Grind updated just because I like these two characters a lot. That's still Zenless Zone Zero, but it's Jane Doe and Cecilia, the snake girl. But yeah, that's I know I've said this part already, but that's part of this that's really fun to me is narrowing down the games, a systematic way to choose them, and just I get really excited just being like, oh, I wonder what random game is going to come up. I wonder what new game. I mean, new is going to be in recent memory, so maybe that's not the best example, but like what retro game? What's the next longest game? What's the next game that I was really excited to play when I put it in the spreadsheet that's coming up? And then when you get through these, you get to pick new ones. It's kind of like getting a batch of new games. Again, even though you're just pulling from games you already own. And, I know I'm kind of burning through the graphics budget here with all these crazy graphics, but to zoom out a little bit, this is kind of what the whole, what would you call it, video game enjoyment experience looks like for me. It starts at discovery. I really enjoy discovering new games. I love watching 4 a.m. laundry with my girlfriend, and I like watching other people go thrifting or people just talk about games on podcasts or browse stores and just see what kind of new things they've gotten in and discover games. But I feel like this system kind of applies in this situation too, because you can't, I mean, maybe you can, but maybe it's not the best idea to acquire every game that you discover. Um, so in my mind, that's kind of what a wish list is for. So I keep a spreadsheet that also has a wish list in it. And it's just whenever I see a game that looks interesting, I throw it into a wish list. And that's my way of remembering that I would like to get that game one day. And uh, over time, I pick up things from the wish list and I add them to my library or my collection. My library and my collection, I'm sure you've seen my pickup videos, is very large. So there's not really a way that I could play everything in there quickly. It would take me a really long time to get through that, and it's also kind of a daunting task to decide what to play from it. So I just do a small selection to play at a time, which was the method I kind of talked about here. And that's kind of what the whole thing looks like. And while this isn't really the focus of the video, I thought I might show you a little bit of the spreadsheet. Now my spreadsheets are a freaking mess. I'm not very organized with them. But I do like playing around with them. You can see how many crazy tabs I've got going on at the bottom of this worksheet. But you can also see this kind of crazy formula I've got going on here. And what's cool about this is if you check the box, or if you uncheck it, the game will disappear. And then if you check it, a new one will come in. They'll actually all update at the same time because the way the rand between function in Google Sheets works is that anytime there's a change in the spreadsheet, it'll choose new things, and the check mark just works like changing something from true to false. And to the right of it, I've kind of been messing around with this other function where you choose rows, because sometimes I found that just getting the cell this way with the game name, um, sometimes I can't tell which platform it was on if the same game was on multiple platforms, but this way I can get the whole row. And I can also get like the rating information. So this was kind of a work in progress that I was messing around with. But yeah, I can kind of show you how it works too quickly, or what it looks like when it works. Yeah, so I can just show you how it kind of looks when it works. Like uncheck this, the random game here goes away, and this just turns to false. Then the one cell picker here came up with Phantom Breaker Omnia, and then the new method I was trying came up with a Cosmic Fantasy collection on Switch. And I can go through and I can, if I want to go just by platform, I can uh, choose some things too. I can make those go away while I'm doing this if I want. Shift Unleashed, or Shift 2 Unleashed, Steins Gate, Virtual On, yeah, it's kind of fun to do, but this is not necessary by any means. I just kind of wanted to show it off. And this is just a glimpse at what the rest of the spreadsheet looks like. This works for me. It may not work for you. It's definitely not mandatory, though I do like the idea of making lists as a way to kind of help choose between, or not. Yeah, it helps you choose games from your library, but it's a way to keep track of your library. And in no particular order. This is just kind of where it is at the moment. You can kind of see the stuff that I fill in for things in my library. And this is just kind of how it looks on Backloggery when I have it all in progress. So the image that I put together, I just put up here as a banner. That's kind of why the color scheme was chosen. I mostly stick with the default colors on Backloggery, and it was just kind of made to match that. And then the now playing kind of fits in here. And I think this goes without saying, but a Backloggery account is not mandatory for this either. I like using it. If you also have one, feel free to add me. That's my username there. If you want to shoot me an ad and be friends on there, we can look at our backlogs together. I know some other people like other websites, but whenever I try a new one, I always come back to Backloggery. I feel like it just, it has the most flexibility, largely by not forcing you to use a database. You can just text enter stuff yourself. It doesn't force you to adhere to specific rules. And I find that sometimes those websites that do force a database can get a bit obtuse. And it's kind of like if you have a really obscure game, fitting it in a particular way isn't clear. I really do enjoy Backloggery. But that should do it for this video. Thank you for watching, if you did. And if not, thank you anyway for considering watching. Um, yeah, to kind of just summarize, this was a method that I'm really happy to have kind of refined over the years, and it just seems to really be working well for me, so I thought I would share it. I want to reiterate, maybe it's not what will work for you. Maybe small selections and rules and order don't work for you. Maybe you're the type of person that just likes to drift freely from game to game. If that works for you, then don't change anything. I really love these kinds of videos myself, like watching them just to see what works for other people, even if they don't work for me. So if you take nothing else away from this video, take away that you should try to find what works for you so that you have the most fun and enjoyment out of your hobby. For me, it's kind of splitting the hobby into three parts, like I sort of mentioned. Like there's the discovery, there's the collection, and then there's the playing. And thinking about those three together, but a little bit separate, has really helped me a lot. But anyway, thank you again for watching. Take care.